For 30 years, one man fought a war that had ended long ago. He lived in shadows, trusted no one, slept with his rifle across his chest. And while the world rebuilt from the ashes of war, he waited, loyal to orders that no longer mattered, until the day the truth finally found him. This is the story of Hiroshi Tanaka, the soldier who came home 3 decades after the war was already over. The year was 1944. The Pacific was burning. From the Philippines to Iwo Jima, the American tide surged closer to Japan. On a small jungle island, forgotten on most maps, 22-year-old intelligence officer Hiroshi Tanaka received his final orders. He was wiry, sharp-eyed, born in the coastal town of Kanazawa. He had grown up watching fishing boats push out into the morning fog, believing that loyalty to the emperor was the highest calling a man could know. When the American landings began, chaos ripped through his unit. Gunfire rattled in the palms, smoke coiled through the canopy. In the confusion, Tanaka and 2 comrades fled into the jungle, clutching rifles, rice sacks, and one battered radio. That night, on a ridge, Tanaka saw what would haunt him for decades. Dozens of U.S. landing craft swarming toward the beach, the sea black with ships. Corporal Sato handed him a crumpled sheet of paper, their last written orders. It was stark, uncompromising. Conduct guerrilla operations. You will not surrender. You will not take your own life. Remain until the Imperial Army returns. Tanaka pressed the order to his chest like scripture. The war might take months, perhaps years, but he believed Japan would return for him. So he waited. The weeks became months, the months became years. Tanaka and his 2 comrades lived like ghosts. They built shelters from bamboo and palm. They patched their uniforms with cloth stolen from washing lines. Their boots rotted in the monsoon rains. Malaria racked their bodies with fever. The jungle itself became an enemy. Leeches clung to their legs after every river crossing. Wild pigs sometimes turned on them when cornered. Insects never ceased. Food was a constant battle. They trapped birds with snares, dug for roots, stole bananas and coconuts from fields under cover of night. But the real danger was doubt. In 1945, months after Hiroshima and Nagasaki, leaflets fluttered down from Allied aircraft. Printed in Japanese, they read, "The war has ended. Japan has surrendered. Come out with your hands raised."
Sato studied the paper. Yamamoto laughed bitterly. "Propaganda," he said. "The Americans think us fools." Tanaka burned it in their fire. The flames curled the words into ash. But even as he fed it to the fire, something inside him twisted. Could it be true? Could Japan, the empire of 2,600 years, really have surrendered? His faith would not allow it. He clung to his orders. The years dragged on. In 1949, 5 years into hiding, Yamamoto made a decision. He would go down to the village to seek food and answers. He never returned. For months, Tanaka and Sato debated his fate. Captured, killed, or worse, defected. The silence gnawed at them. Still, they endured. They shifted camps every few months, leaving no trace. They oiled their rifles with coconut fat, sharpened knives on river stones. But in 1957, Tanaka's last comrade fell. Sato began coughing blood. Fever consumed him. Tanaka tried everything, boiling herbs, keeping the flies at bay. Nothing worked. On the 7th night, rain hammering the jungle, Sato grasped his wrist and whispered, "Don't give up. the army will come." By dawn, he was dead. Tanaka buried him under a great banyan tree, marking the grave with a wooden cross. Now, he was truly alone. Decades passed. Tanaka's hair grew gray, his face weathered like leather, yet he still moved like a phantom. Locals whispered of him. Farmers found footprints near their fields. Hunters discovered strange campsites deep in the interior. Children called him the Ghost Soldier. To them, he was half myth, half spirit. To Tanaka, he was simply a soldier waiting for his orders to change. The world outside his jungle prison had transformed. Japan surrendered in 1945. Hiroshima and Nagasaki had burned. An emperor's voice, for the first time in history, had told his people to lay down their arms. But Tanaka never heard it. Through the 1950s, as Tokyo rebuilt with neon lights, Tanaka still patrolled the jungle at night, convinced the war raged on. When Japan hosted the Olympics in 1964, he crouched in the mud, watching distant headlights on dirt roads, convinced they were enemy patrols. For him, time was frozen in 1944. By the 1970s, stories of stragglers, Japanese holdouts still fighting decades later, fascinated the world. Most were myths, but on this island, one was true. In 1972, Takeshi Morita, a young adventurer, came searching. With a local guide, he combed the jungle. On the fifth morning, near a stream, they saw him. Thin, bearded, uniform in tatters, a rifle still at his side. Hiroshi Tanaka. Morita raised his hands, speaking in Japanese. Tanaka listened, eyes narrowed, finger brushing his rifle's trigger. "If the war is over," Tanaka said, voice rough, "prove it." Morita had prepared. From his pack, he drew newspapers from Tokyo, headlines of peace treaties, trade, even the Olympic Games. Tanaka's hands trembled as he read. Photographs of neon streets, cars, crowds in modern clothes. "How long?" he whispered. 30 years, Morita answered. Tanaka closed his eyes. 3 decades of loyalty. 3 decades of hunger, fever, and silence, for a war that had ended before it truly began for him. It took 3 days of persuasion before Tanaka agreed to return. Even then, he insisted on wearing his uniform and carrying his rifle. When he stepped out of the jungle, villagers gasped. Some crossed themselves. Others whispered in awe. To them, he looked like a ghost walking out of history. Tokyo in 1974 was another universe. Neon lights, bullet trains, televisions in every shop window. Tanaka, who had lived on routes in rainwater, stared at vending machines that gave hot coffee in a can. At the family reunion, his sister, now gray-haired, embraced him in tears. His parents were long gone. In the family albums, his place was a silent gap.
The government honored him publicly, praising his loyalty. Newspapers called him a relic, a hero, a man out of time. But in private, Tanaka said little. One journalist asked if he regretted it. He paused, looking at his scarred hands. Regret? No. I did my duty. But I wish I had known sooner. Not for me, for the years I could have given to the people I lost. In spring, Tanaka returned one last time to the island. He followed old trails through the undergrowth, past streams and ridges he knew like the lines of his palm. At the banyan tree, he found Sato's grave. The cross was nearly gone, swallowed by vines. He knelt for a long time. Then, gently, he leaned his rifle against the tree. The war was over, and this time he knew it. Hiroshi Tanaka was not a general. He commanded no armies. He simply endured. For 30 years, he lived by orders that outlived the war itself. When asked what kept him alive, he answered simply, "I was told not to surrender, so I didn't." In those words lies both the tragedy and the triumph of his life. The soldier who returned 30 years after the war.